All right, and with that note, we have left the before time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fail Portrayal. Sorry, I just had to take a pause because my mental is like, okay, how do we start this one? How do we begin? So, Valiance, everybody. Valiance. Honestly, I do want to say right off the bat, I do think the TCG kind of did this archetype dirty with this name. While Valance does sound like a copyright-friendly name that Games Workshop would come up with for something, it really ruins what I think the OCG was going for with the name. It is Valiance, or Variance, in the OCG, which, of course, because of the LR ambiguity, means that it can mean both Valiant and Variant, as in variant rules. Because this is an archetype that is probably definitely about board games. But also, it's board games in your Yu-Gi-Oh zones, so...
Yeah, I looked at these cards for the first time, like, 5 minutes, like 5 minutes, like as we rounded it up together. And my initial, like, gut reaction is, ninjas versus generic European, probably German mechs.
Yes. I mean, their field spell is known as Konegwesen, so yeah, probably. And the field spell for the other guys is Shinra Bansho. So, basically, this is a deck that kind of does a weird board game thing. The board game part is definitely intentional. Funnily enough, because we were discussing before we got into the juice, does Valence have any tops? Technically, yes. In the Chinese market,
a very recent tops in like the last month or so, like 3 separate top 4s.
And I assume that's because the Chinese set release is somewhat unique. Let me actually see if I can grab the format.
Glancing through the deck list, all of them were like vaguely identical pendulum brews of we're playing the Valence, but the actual like resource to engine is monkey board and 3 flutists.
So basically, to recap for people, mainland China technically was not included in the simplified Chinese market until 2020, when Konami officially was able to bring those over. So it's very similar to when the European market for the TCG started, like how they got a lot of like mass bulk reprint sets. So the Chinese card pool that's legal is really weird. They have like mega packs, rarity collections, they're getting structure decks like Heroes Strike in like 2022, So basically, apparently, it seems like, because I don't have a lot of intel on this, but it sounds like in the simplified Chinese market right now, in mainland China, Valiance is the best engine to put in your SHS Pendulum Soup decks.
Yeah, because let me pull the decks back up just to glance through them.
But otherwise, Valance has not really been a winner in, I think, either the OCG or the TCG. It is an archetype that is made up of, similar to the way that like Subterror works, technically Cosmo, and a lot of other of these archetypes work. They're both called Valance, but you have 2 sides. I would say that you have like separate names for them, but they don't actually. They have different naming themes, but your primary, on one side you have water spellcasters, on the other side you have fire machines. There is a single Earth Fairy guy they added as legacy support we'll be talking about towards the end of this. And I think that does leave the idea open that, like, much like how board games can get, expansion releases or, re-releases, or even, Gen 2s with different stuff, they've left room open to expand to different factions.
I'm posting the specific deck list in Fail Betrayal because looking at this, some of the ratios just hurt me.
Oh, lordy. Okay. Yeah, here. Let me... Because we've just got the
Oh god,
thumbnail
it's the,
anyway.
it's
Let
the
me.
hand trap tax. Ugh.
This is a top 4 at the Hangzhou Geikyu card opening tournament, piloted by. There's a name. I don't know how to pronounce it.
How
I
many
don't know
people
how to
related
read
to
it.
So
this?
this is. So you've got one monkey board, that's legal. I guess we're using an OCG style ban list because we've got 2 called by 1 crossout. So you're running that package. We're running 3 Ash, 3 Max C, 3 Veiler, 1 Ghost Rabbit, 1 Nib, 1 Tactics in main. Really flexing those slots. 2 Joker, 2 Skullcrobat Joker, even though he's not limit 2.
Small world also.
We've got a single small world for the small world bridge. And we're running like one of a couple of the bigger, brickier valence. That may actually like be true. You've got 2 copies each of the field spell. That honestly probably works out because, I mean, it's tedious to play 2 field spells. In the extra, we've got only one of the... Well, we've got the Machine Fusion guy and the Earth Fairy Fusion guy. We're playing 2 Beyond the Pendulum, 1 Mask, 1 Electromite. Well, they're playing Exceed the Pendulum. Jesus.
The 1 Nib, the 1 Ghost Ogre, and the 1 Performance Pal card between Monkey Board and Joker are small world bridges, but it still hurts me to look at.
It's still painful. Also, know that they are running a single copy of Secret Village on the side.
And also a copy of the Magister Draco Slayer.
Yeah. We have 2 Droll inside only. We can't rotate into a full 3 Droll. But we do have a second Ghost Ogre and a single Pank. Is the Pank's limit 1, that's why he's in there. Is that why we have some of these weird hand trap ratios so you could safely board into Pank? Ugh.
I have to assume so.
So yeah, this is apparently what a top cut
top 4.
Top 4 valence lists looks like. It's mostly non-engine and some super heavy shit with Wakaushi and stuff. So yeah, but yes, like I said, Valiance does have room left open for that. Now, in the Valuable Book EX3, it is explicitly described as a... Oh, actually, I gotta read the whole thing, because this reads like... Obviously, the person who wrote this copy in the Valuable Book, right, who wrote this card lore, probably worked in marketing for Konami. Number 3, Valence. Place your exquisitely detailed units on the field and experience the ultimate battle of wits against your opponent in this hyper-realistic digital board war game. How many keywords is that? Valence Wars. In this article, we look at the basic strategy for the 2 clans of the first set. So first of all, the lore straight up implies that there are expansion sets later.
Valiant Warriors, yeah.
You know, so there's room for expansions to be built in. And yes, it is a digital board war game. So it is a war game with a board. And then it basically talks about the 2 sides. The Königwissen is from a super technologically advanced setting. It is a strictly regulated nation where the lives of people are monitored by AI. They spend most of their resources on the military budget.
You can vaguely see the artwork of Königwissen in the bottom right of the main deck. It's very Midgar vibe.
We'll be pulling up the 2 field spells first, because that is how this deck works. But to talk about this, and apparently this is a cost-based war game. They explicitly say that their small guys like Buster Baron is, a low-cost attacker. Mad Marcus is a long-range attack unit. So, and apparently, by the way, the Fire Machine Valence, the Königwissen faction, they are a overwhelming aggro strategy.
Basically, they're high productions, but they basically have their cheap guys are actually good. So
yeah, they're an aggro strategy, though they do have some defenders. Shinra Bansho is a far eastern themed world filled with magical powers. Their units possess unique abilities. Their firepower is weaker, but they have a lot of utility. Basically, their idea is it sounds like the Shinra Bansho faction is like a bunch of, unique units you can't take more than 1 copy of normally, but they all have special powers, and they can do team synergies and stuff.
Yeah, because it's not the... it's still like the 1 Valence card they aren't playing that is the fusion of the 3 unique like ninjas, basically. And it's just like the artwork is just three of the ninjas standing together.
Yeah. So, and yes, the Valuable Book EX does say that the Earth Fairy guy is explicitly a third faction from an expansion. They are a clan that can manipulate time. Fun fact, in this lore article, which is written like it's a magazine article copy for you to buy this war game, it says that they will debut with 12 units. That guy, by the way, the Chronochasm Valence came out in Photon Hypernova early last year. There have been no new Valence in over a year, so
and
good luck with that expansion.
He is the 12th unit of that expansion.
Yeah.
Look, I assume looking at his name.
Yes, because he's got the Roman numeral 12.
Right,
so
because it's one for each hour. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously that gives them room to actually work on this, but we're still kind of chaotic. This is just some concept art of them and their little figurine packages. This is why, like I said earlier, I made the Build Fighters joke. Because you'll see the aesthetics are very much like that. But let's pull up our field spells. I'm going to pull up both of them so you can look at them side by side. This is Shinra Bansho, and the other one is the
it is interesting, just as an immediate reaction, that the field zone is still just Yu-Gi-Oh. the 5 zones and the extra monsters.
Yeah, I believe that is supposed to be because like the idea is that you turn their, mechanics into you're playing, like, you translate your game of IRL Yu-Gi-Oh! Into the mechanics of this board game.
Yeah.
It's still very weird. So, you can see that obviously these fields are displayed on a little, like, war table. It's very funny that they have hexagons under the image, but as Vesper just mentioned, the setup is, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Board with your monster zones and stuff. You've got your little hexagonal fucking amiibo scan pad. And so, obviously, you've got Shinra Bansho, which is definitely just Japan. They've got Torii Gates. They've got a Mount Fuji that's very pink. They've got, the fucking water gardens. They've got some castles. Cherry blossoms everywhere.
You have Conic Vyson. It's not just Midgar, but, like,
I've literally just come off beating Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is pretty Midgar coded. Like,
yeah.
I mean, this is Midgar if it wasn't shitty.
I mean, I could show you the concept art they showed in Remake of Neo Midgar, which looks a lot like this, only that was a lot more white. But yeah, this is like the Tron lines everywhere, the kind of like blue-green backglow. It's not exactly circular, but it is kind of ring-shaped around a central giant building. The only thing it needs is some fucking Shinra logos everywhere. But yeah, in case you're curious, by the way, König Wissen, I don't know how good a German it is, but it is German for king and the verb for to be aware of. So, like, I don't know, get aware of the king. But the other way around, I've heard the phrase Shinra Bansho before, but I don't remember the translation, so I'm going to grab that trivia too. Yeah, okay, so Shinra Bansho is whole of creation.
Definitely a phrase.
Yeah, it's Shinra Bansho is a play on a phrase that means everything. So it's it's all creation kind of a thing. So yeah, pretty normal stuff. So art-wise, there's not a lot to discuss about this other than you can kind of see the table design for this war game. But you've got your aesthetics pretty locked in. You've got their little faction signals. The German robot fire faction also has a super dragon-like emblem because of course they do. And the water Japan team has a kind of 5-pointed star that is also an unfolding sakura blossom. Pretty typical stuff. I strongly suspect that the person who wrote this archetype probably wanted to make this board game, but Konami was like, "We can't do that. Are you crazy? That's not pachinko machines."
This is like 10+ years removed from Duels of the Roses and all, when they let people do that shit.
I have the dumbest
15 years.
That the only reason Konami hasn't stopped making Yugioh and only focused on pachinko machines is because Yugioh has been around for 25 years.
Well, I do believe I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh does actually make them money. Because they did the previous World Championship in the Tokyo Dome, which cannot be cheap.
Yeah, and I mean in a general sense, I'm they if
I don't know if they're experiencing
just because it had been around for so long, yeah. There would still be Metal Gear, there would still be Silent Hill, so on and so forth.
I mean, they are technically doing Metal Gear, but it is a remake, so
yeah.
But
and they don't really have to rewrite most of it. They can probably, I don't know.
Well, they're gonna re-record it probably, but that's because of pacing, I'm sure. Anyway, we're not here to discuss Metal Gear Delta. Watch our entire run through the first volume of the Metal Gear Master Collection, now complete. Lucky played all of them. But
Nice job.
They presumably make money on this product line and stuff. It's just that I think that for a while Konami was very non-adventurous. They were trying to like reduce down and focus their spending, and they seem to have taken the correct interpretation from like the COVID hobby boom, which is like, oh hey, we can still make money at this, but also we can't go crazy, you know. Unfortunately, a lot of hobbies have gone crazy, and you can debate like whether or not the TCG's practices with like rarity and stuff are, you know, a pain in the ass or not. I still don't actually know how good selling out on the secondary market helps them. But the side gigs thing seems to be a lot smaller as they transition to more normal monetization models like Duel Links and Master Duel. But yeah, the Valence. Shinra Bansho is the first field spell. It says, when this card is activated, place a Valence field spell from your deck face up in your opponent's field zone, except Shinra Bansho. So again, obviously leaving it open so that they can print more field spells for more sub-themes. One thing I will say is that it's weird because this deck is like so complicated and obviously like, I don't want to say bad per se. I don't think that Valence is non-functional. It's just it's operating on such a weird axis that I think almost every Yu-Gi-Oh player who looked at this archetype just their eyes turned into little Nirvana High Paladins and they just like stopped functioning.
Yeah, like I love pendulum decks. I love playing pendulum decks. These Valence cards just have too much text on them, man.
Loth isn't here. He may be joining us late, or he might not be able to join us at all. He's got other stuff going on right now. But I also know that he loves several pendulum decks as well. I don't think he's ever tried to like. I think he's looked sideways at a Valence once and also not tried to make it work. So like it says a lot about an archetype when we have people who want to go to bat for pendulum decks in the squad. Hell, there are even pendulum decks that I found pendulum decks I like. None of us remember what a Valence does. I think I talked about this earlier. I was like, there's two types of Yu-Gi-Oh players in the world. People who've read a Valence card and people who hadn't. I think I've read a Valence card once. I don't remember it.
I've read a few. I don't remember them, but I also remember Hardleg Joe playing Valence a bunch, and it's like, it's just a blur.
He tried, for sure. Hardleg will do that. Also, I should
Because
say... Go ahead.
I think the biggest problem surrounding Valence is that because they have such a bizarre base gimmick to where Senet Switch is name-checked at least once in the archetype to facilitate this bullshit. It is just it is just an alien concept.
Yeah,
because like realistically,
so
like above board, the pendulum scales don't fucking matter for this deck. They're all one scales in the main deck.
Yeah, because they don't actually pendulum summon themselves; they just go in your scales. But so I forgot to mention one thing about the way this card's name works in the OCG. It is written Variance Warudo, but they use the abbreviation VV, playing with the VW like switch there. So technically, this is Valiance equal Vorld, whole of creation. So there's a lot of like, again, I joked about Games Workshop style trademarking here, but like there's a lot of trademark friendly language in this card in these. So like it feels very authentic, but it's very weird. So the first part of this line text. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you know how many GW product lines you don't fucking know of?
Oh, I'm... so technically the joke here is that I would know the names of a lot of GW product lines because they were cursed by a wizard to have to use every name at least 3 times.
I mean, it's like... Most people only know Age of Sigmar and 40k. No one knows Necromunda,
Sorry,
World, Fantasy.
You've heard a lot of people by saying people would recognize Age of Sigmar before even saying Fantasy or 40k.
No, because they're separate, because now Fantasy's now Old World.
Yes, I know. They've brought back the Old World because it's almost like they realized they did something dumb. and people like the old world.
I mean, I really like Tomb Kings, but I just like but I like Tomb Kings and Age of Sigmar over base one, so that's fair.
There's some different lore involved, but yes, no, there are a lot of... GW uses a lot of redundant names. They've changed a lot of the names for things, you know. When I first learned about 40K, that was back when it was still, you know, Space Marines was, you know, the Codex, Sisters of Battle, Imperial Guard.
It still
now
is
there's stuff
that.
like...
It's just it's not as much because it's spread out now.
Oh, well, I mean, they are still that. I was just saying is the Codexes, the armies are now called Adeptus Sororitas, Astra Militarum, you know, Adeptus Astartes, because those are all terms they can copyright and, like, trademark.
I still got into all of it via Tomb Kings and Necrons, because it turns out Necrons, when they make the Tomb Kings in space, they're cool.
Yeah, it's worked a couple of times. But, yeah, so... There's some crazy puns. We've only talked about the first line of text on this card, by the way, which is already wild. This lets you place a Valence field spell in your opponent's field zone, face up, obviously, so you can't set it, which means it is not activated, which means your opponent doesn't get the activation effect. And I do believe, though, placing in the field zone does require you to destroy what is below it. I believe the place effect would mean that you have to replace something that's already there.
I don't think you're allowed to place if there's already a card in the field zone.
So that may also be a reason why these decks are not the greatest. That said, its second effect does say if there are two cards in the field zones, the turn player can target a monster card in their own spell and trap zone and special summon it to their main monster zone in its same column. The turn player can only use Shinra Bansho once per turn.
Wait, this goes crazy in Snake Eyes.
Yes, actually, this probably does have some interaction with Snake Eyes. The problem is that it says if there's two field spells, the turn player gets to do this. That's right, because this is supposed to represent a two-player board game, it is reciprocal. The turn player gets to do these things. Now, obviously, for the most part, your opponent's not going to be able to actually, like, do anything with this if they're not also playing, you know, Valence.
Snake Eyes or a pen deck.
Yes. Or, you know, they have not accidentally been cooked by a Snake Eyes deck, because that will place, you know, your opponent's cards in your spell trap zone. But yeah, it's pretty funny. And then, funny enough, Königweisen is the opposite. When this card's activated, place a Valence field spell face up from your deck in your opponent's field zone, except Königweisen. If there are two cards in the field zones, the turn player can target one effect monster in their opponent's main monster zone in the same column as one of the monsters they control. Place that opponent's monster face up as a continuous spell and spell start in its column. If the zone is occupied, destroy the occupying card. So Königweisen is the opposite. It, you know, Shinra Bansho lets you take cards out of your spell trap zone and summon them to their column in the monster zone. Presumably, the monster zone has to be free.
The parenthetical on the second effect makes me pretty certain that you can't override a card that's already in the field zone at least.
Yes, if that would probably indicate that if it says place. But yeah, so this lets you, as the turn player, turn your opponent's monsters into back row, where they are continuous spells that don't have those effects. But you have to have board presence to do that. You have to have monsters in the same column. Obviously, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has played a lot around with column mechanics. I don't know if anybody's ever actually tried to run Mech Knights in Valence, but, like, Mech Knights were a very popular deck that worked with similar mechanics, you know?
Sounds doable.
Iron Dragon Teamaton is another, you know, weird thing you could do. But yeah, so Königweisen, you know, puts effect monsters in the spell trap zone and destroys back row, and Shinra Bansho summons them out. And that's basically it for those field spells. That's what they do. They require, you know, they do field spell stuff, they siphon out of your deck, and we do very weird, funny things. Let's see. I'll bring up Senet Switch when we actually get to the other spell traps, and we talk about the one that allows you to get Senet Switch. So let's talk about some monsters. Again, these guys are technically pendulum monsters, so that they have effects in the back row, which does mean we get some extended arts. We're just going to go in no particular order. We're going to start with the water guys. First is Hojo, the Valence Warrior. Or just
this guy is actually
Warrior.
vital personnel.
Hojo.
That was just an Omega percent.
Yes, that was your Omega percent run. I smiled. I did not chuckle, but I did smile. So, funnily enough, this guy's still a water spellcaster, even though he very clearly has a flaming sword, right?
I mean, listen, if he was a warrior, it would just be bad. It would just make him unusable, I guess.
I mean, not necessarily. I don't but they actually no. These tech name check type or attribute, not monster type. So there's some weird wiggle room in this. But yeah, art wise, yep, this is a guy. You know, if we're designing a generic Japanese looking like board game faction, this guy looks like he belongs in it. He's got a giant flaming sword.
I've been rereading Naruto lately, and this man is just a Naruto. Like, these are just Naruto characters. Like, they're good. They're nice.
I thought all the samurai were like shitty, actually.
I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything because there are Naruto characters who like use katanas and stuff who are still ninjas.
Fair.
But yeah, no, I would agree with that. These definitely look like, especially some of the later era Naruto designs, especially when the anime had to actually design lots of extra characters to fill out all those war scenes.
Yeah.
This is just a guy. He's got a big flaming sword. He's got some armor. He's got like a cool like chin guard type thing going on, which kind of like seamlessly blends in with his mustache.
Yeah, it just kind of looks like a beard.
Yeah. So, Hojo, the Valence Warrior, is a... Oh, by the way, I want to throw this out there. These guys are in Master Duel, and they're in a couple of different packs. They have their own secret pack, for instance. This guy's a normal in Master Duel.
Awesome.
He was a super rare in Tactical Masters, the set we're discussing. And this is your big boy, allegedly, in the Water Valance side. This is a level 8 Spellcaster Pendulum. Water, obviously. He is a 1 scale, as you mentioned before. He's level 8, but he's 1919. So you know that we don't give a shit about levels in this. Stats don't matter. His Pendulum effect says, if Valence World Shinra Bansho is in a field zone, or if you control a Water Valence monster, special summon this card to your main monster zone in the same column. You can use this effect once per turn. So if there is a Shinra Bansho on field, or you control another Water Valance, this guy can summon himself out of his column for free. I guess that's why he has shit stats for a level 8, because you're not actually, tribute summoning him. We probably could have given him more than 1900 attack, Konami.
Probably.
He does say, as his monster effect, you can target one face-up card in either spell trap zone, return it to the hand. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can, except during the damage step, you can fusion summon a Valance from your extra deck by using monsters in your hand, field, or pendulum zones. You use each effect once per turn. That is your pendulum zones, so is that because pendulum monsters don't normally, or pendulum cards don't normally count as monsters in the pendulum zones?
Correct.
Okay. So yeah. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, we're reviewing Valence as they come. I'm pretty sure this guy's bad. He's a once per turn bounce a spell trap. And he's a fusion only if he moves columns.
Which,
you'll do that in this archetype, but you could also just play Poly.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably going to be what we're going to say about a lot of Valence cards is, that's cool, that's a thing you do. You could also just play a normal Yu-Gi-Oh card and do that.
Yeah, you could just play Vision Fusion and summon DPE. Why not?
Literally, the wiki, the Wikipedia, mentions that this deck doesn't need its normal summon, so you can play Invoked. Literally, the advice on the website is normal summon Alistair. So yeah. Honestly, I feel like
Invoked might go hard.
It would probably be functional. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This guy reads like a bad card because it's cute that he's got a bounce effect and he's a fusion guy. I don't know why they made him the level 8. I understand obviously wanting to have a bunch of different levels so you can play around Xyz and Synchro strategies if you're not supposed to be an Xyz or Synchro deck, right?
I just think the level should have mattered, because I feel like in subjects if you give levels to a certain card, they should actually mean something.
Yeah, I don't know why this guy's a level 8, other than, like, I think hypothetically he's supposed to be, like, a higher-ranked member of the faction in the fictional board game.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they
I
didn't
think
give them a lot of level 4s because they're trying to avoid this deck instantly turning into a rank 4 engine.
Yeah, I think the idea is that we have a 2, a 4, a 6, and an 8 of the 2 sets of guys, so they just had to make one of these guys an 8.
Yeah,
So they can make
but
it even
I
odds at
feel
some
like they
point,
could have
yeah.
like compressed that down so that, like, you know, instead of like 2, 4, 6, 8, you had like, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. It gets a little weird. And like I said, there's a reason why this guy's a normal in Master Duel. It's cute. It's not going to be that helpful.
At least when they do the next, when they ever get to like the Chronomancer, it's like it's gonna be 1 through 12 because, of course.
Yeah, if they actually print all of those. So let's move on to our next one. I think we may end up going just the way the names are. We may end up going in like reverse order. This is Nazuki, the Valence Ninja, Nazuki. Again, this is
you
just
can splash ninja decks.
this is just a. I mean, yes, you can actually splash this in ninja decks, and they do have some pendulum cards. I don't know if it matters, but it's funny.
Not anymore.
But this could also very easily be a Naruto character. Also, this just looks like 80s and 90s video games about ninjas key art.
Is this is just a Ninja Gaiden character?
Yeah, basically. Like,
The fucking pauldrons are too big. Or
The
the don't
pauldrons-
need the pauldrons at all.
they're a little spiky, yeah, but like otherwise, this character design is perfectly functional. You know, we're throwing purple throwing stars. That's cool. You know, we got all the ninja
Armor
stuff.
because it's like he's got like ways to alleviate how it's gonna weigh him down, so he's fine.
I do like the aesthetic idea that on his belt it looks like he has like four different element element things to
Yeah.
like
Actually, he's
invoke
got more
with
than just
his-
4.
Yeah, there is a
I think
fifth
he's got
up
like
here.
8.
Is there?
I think he's got like multiple.
No, I think it only goes up to 5. It would make sense because it's
Uh-huh.
like a 5-pointed star. But yeah, I think it's like a 5 elements thing. But you can clearly see the pink one is down here, and we're doing the pink seal, and we throw shuriken. But there's another one over here. There's one directly below that. So there's like, I'm pretty sure it's 5. But yeah, he's got like the little seals, which are clearly being used for some fucking ninja magic.
Or he's holding all the he's holding all the stars in his other hand, right? He's just
Magic.
he's enchanting them.
It is their theme of magicalness. But yeah, you know, this is one of those funny cases where art-wise, there's probably not a lot bad to say about Valence. Mechanically, we will definitely be like, huh?
Yeah, no, like the artwork on Valence is very nice. Like the mechs when we get to them are a tad busy, but I still think they accomplish what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I have
Same-
some things to
and-
say
and
about
the
some of the mech
ninjas all
designs,
Yeah.
like general observations when we get there. But so I'll save it. But yeah, the Shinra Bansho faction, you know, the Eastern, you know, mystic users, ninjas and whatnots are pretty normal, good even. You know, they're just fine. So Nazuki's a level 6 water spellcaster pendulum, also a scale 1 as we mentioned, 18/18. So you know, very balanced out stats. Its pendulum effect is basically the same as the previous one. I think most of them have the exact same effect, which is if you control Shinra Bansho, or rather, I should say, if Shinra Bansho is on the field, or you control a water Valence, you can special summon this to your MMZ in its column. You can only do that
I
once
just
per turn.
realized every Valence has identical attack and defense.
Yeah, they're balanced out for some reason.
Yeah.
Its monster effect is you can target one other monster in either MMZ. Move that to an adjacent horizontal zone. They have to parenthetically say horizontal, so you can't do any weirdness. I think they probably could have just said use that to an adjacent main monster zone, because the only way you could move like diagonal or vertical would be to move into the EMZ. But yeah, you move it into
I think
your
they went
adjacent.
with horizontal just for the sake of we're not going to add too many words, just horizontal.
Yes,
Just-
we're
just
just
so
saying
you
it's the
know.
horizontal monster zone.
Yeah.
So this card is Senet Switch, and also, if this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can target one Valence monster card in your spell trap zone, special summon it to your main monster zone in the same column. So that probably works as like a board spam strategy. You know, you can use that to get out multiple guys because all of their summon from Pendulum Zone effects are once per turn. They're hard onces. So this is probably an okay card, especially because it enables your other deck. But it is still very funny that, like, this is one of our higher level guys, and its primary effect is you can do Senet Switch, which, again, is already a card that exists, and you can search and play in this archetype.
Yeah, it is a card that... Senet Switch is the ghastly glitch of Valence.
Yes.
Basically.
And I would say that's meant to be intentional, but also I'm pretty sure we don't actually know the rules to Senet. Yeah,
Senet is a game that we know the pieces, we know what the board is like we have the basic concept of what the game is, but the rules have been lost to us. So like no one actually knows how to play it.
All right, we're going down the line. And indeed, while I did not intend it to be this way, the way the alphabetical names work is that we're going in descending order. This is Scion, the Valence Archer. And he's an archer. Who's Valence? He's kind of green.
That's not an archer. Where's his sword?
Quality yokes. I do want to say I do like this posing, like him leaning up on the balls of his feet to like stay stable on this rooftop. That's a cool effect.
Yeah, well, it's a very small detail, but it does work well to kind of like to add a little bit of dynamicness to the pose.
I do want to say though that it's entirely possible like this is supposed to be like Nazuki's like brother or something, but otherwise really aping his hairstyle there. This is the exact same hair, just green. And in fact, I think Hojo also had very similar hair. I don't know. Is the joke that they only had one, hair mold for males, so they just all have the same hairstyle in different colors? Could be a thing we're going for. But you can see some stuff back here. The mountain, the cherry blossoms, the gate. Got some dynamic action with the wind effect. So all in all, composited very well. And I do like how Pendulum cards have this kind of like elongated art. You can see some extra detail in there. So Scion is level 4, is another 1 scale, is 11/11, and its Pendulum effect is the same normal Valence, summon. Also, though, it does say that during your main phase, you can, actually, I should say that. It's different. Scion is during your main phase, you can special summon this card to your main monster zone in the same column, but you can't special summon non-Valence monsters for the rest of this turn except from the extra deck. So you are locked out of generic special summoning when you use Scion as your starter. Scion's monster effect is, again, talking about how they literally don't need their normal. If you control this special summoned card, target an effect monster on the field, toss a coin. If the result is head, negate its effect. And if the result is tails, have its attack. If this card in the monster zone moves to another adjacent monster zone, target a card on the field, toss a coin. If it's heads, destroy it. If it's tails, return it to the hand. You can only use each effect of Scion once per turn.
I mean, at least both the coin flip effects are like decent, but also
this guy is this guy is once again, this guy's probably your starter, right? Like this is a guy you can always special summon even if you don't control the field spell, which enables all your other shit. And his effects are negate or have an attack. He's 2 sides of Forbidden Droplet, right? And then he's destroy or return to hand. And it's like you said, it's good that they're both good, but like, what if you're counting on that tails for that return to hand if you're targeting an indestructible monster, right?
Yeah,
like
it's just it's like both really good, like both pretty solid. Like the worst effect is having attack on this card. Everything
and that's only
else
because this guy's tiny.
Good. Yeah, but if you whiff if you really need one of those effects and you whiff, get fucked.
Yeah. Again, kind of showing that like I get that these, especially this faction, the water spellcasters, are supposed to be like, they're a faction of like unique units with special abilities that do stuff. They're not meant to be like a powerhouse, but like, okay, but they're weird then. They're very weird.
Well, it definitely feels like an intentional design space where the Shinra Bansho are like essentially a gimmick faction.
Yeah.
The way their cards are designed, that doesn't translate well to Yu-Gi-Oh, unfortunately.
Yes.
where gimmick effects are usually dog shit.
Yeah. And I'm sure that like whatever the equivalent of like in the rules that Scion's supposed to be, you know, like whether it's like you roll dice or you actually flip coins for the board game, that he has like random effects. It's like, okay, cute, but like, what if I just played 4 more Bad Barons or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
But we have one more of their main decks.
Play Droplet.
Also true, yes. Again, I think a recurring theme is just these are cute Yu-Gi-Oh cards. We already have Yu-Gi-Oh cards that do this much more consistently. So this is our final main deck one of the water side. Shinonome, the Valence Priestess. Valence Priestess Shinonome. She is a level 2 with 500/500. Once again, a 1 scale. She has the same effect as Scion for her Pendulum effect. So she can be special summoned, but then you're locked to Valence except for the extra deck. Sorry, I just looked at the card art again, and I'm like, does she have a broom that's also a gun? Is that what's happening here?
I think it's less a gun and more, I guess, a laser.
Well, yeah,
So-
it's. I mean, it's magic, but you know,
It's got the same like magic crest thing that using is like
it's,
the
you know,
base scanner.
she's you know. No, I'll make the 1% joke. She's charging up her Divine Buster, but also it looks like she could use this to sweep the floors.
I'm trying to find the storyline and look and find Valence Priest if it says anything.
Yeah, it may actually describe the units. Let me double check. No, it just
Nope.
calls her magic support.
Call the magic support, and it just lists Hojo, Shinonome, and Scion. With the 3-unit combo, create the strongest unit, which is Mamonaka.
Yes. So
Or fusion.
Hojo's supposed to be short range, Scion's supposed to be long range, Shinonome is support. I do like that canonically, Nazuki in the board game uses the power of ninjutsu to move your opponents or your units around, which is why he has the ability to shift. That's cute. I don't know what the fuck Scion or Hojo are supposed to be doing with their effects. Shinonome's monster effect, though, says during your main phase, you control this special summon card. You can add a advanced spell from your deck to your hand. So she's just a searcher. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, add a Valence monster from your deck to your hand, except Shinonome. You can only use each effect once per turn. So she is your searcher. So if you put her in your pendulum zone and then summon her, you get to search a spell, which can include your field spells or your other spell effects. And then if you move her, you get to search a monster. So that's perfectly functional, and makes plenty of sense in this deck. You know, you're going to be moving guys around, you're going to be summoning, so that's fine. As you know, one of your basic starters and extenders to get your combo going. It's certainly all right, but definitely when you see the other like 3 waters, you're like, okay, so you know, having a searcher isn't going to give us enough gas. And then let's, you know, pull up the card art for the fusion we mentioned.
Like, I mean, it's
Mamonaka.
just 3 guys.
Yeah, Valence United. It's those 3 together. There's like, you know, some neon signs on their like torii gates behind them, so they're looking cool
Yeah,
and striking a pose.
It is just a broom. That we can now see. It's
Yes.
just a broom.
It does have a weird ring, so I bet it flies. But yeah, she just has a broom.
Yeah. I do kind of like the Miko vibe on her. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's I do like the tricolor. Like they very clearly have like the could be like the deeper blue
Yeah.
as their faction color, but Scion has the green, Hojo the red, and Shinonome has like a off blue, like an off white blue kind of deal.
Yeah, she has kind of an ice blue almost, like very close to white. Yeah, so it's like there's some good visual design to this, and all of them, like, you can see they all have 3 different eye colors, you know, like very standard for both anime and also for like marketable things, toyetic things, to be like, okay, this one is the blue one, this one is the red one, this one is the green one, and then, you know, the ninja is the purple one. But this is their fusion card, you know, them united. So this is a Pendulum Fusion monster. It's a level 10 spellcaster with a Pendulum scale of 10, so you actually have a high scale here. Also, you have, for the first time so far in this archetype, you have stats that do something. It's 28/28.
Yippee!
So you can actually, like, you know, attack or survive being attacked. It's
Yeah, and this does
actually, let's say
require
their
3
monster effects
valence.
first. Yeah, its monster effects includes its requirements. It's just any 3 valence, exactly 3 valence monsters, I should say. During the main phase, quick effect, target an effect monster in your opponent's MMZ. Place that monster face up in your opponent's spell trap zone as a continuous spell in its same column. If the zone is occupied, destroy the occupying card. And if it is a monster card, your opponent loses LP equal to its attack. So this is a card that obviously is meant to combo with your other cards who are putting guys in your opponent's back row. You know, you get to if you pop a monster card that's as a continuous spell, you do damage to them. You can use this effect of Momonaka once per turn. If the special summon card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, you can place it in your pendulum zone. So it, you know, like a lot of extra deck pendulum monsters, it goes to your pen zone if it's destroyed. Its pendulum effects are you can activate one of these effects and only once per turn. You can special summon this card to your MMZ in its same column, or move a monster in your MMZ to an adjacent horizontal monster zone. So this either becomes another Senet Switch, or you get to summon it back. And it does actually give you a high scale. On paper, this is not a terrible card. I think the main thing is just that while it is any 3 valence, the fact that you gotta sack 3 monsters to make this.
Yeah, and like purely in archetype, I'm sure there is a Koenig valence that also fusion summons.
Yeah.
But like to have to use Hojo and then and then burn 2 other guys who may or may not be on the field and have popped their effects. It's just very unwieldy.
At least Hojo does say, you know, hand, field, or pendulum zone, so you got a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah.
But it's using up a lot of your resources. You know, you're going technically -2 because you're losing 2 cards and you only get to keep 1. And the main thing I think with Momonaka is it's probably a good card, but only if you set it up first. And this is probably why we looked at some of those lists earlier. This isn't one of the ones that's in the extra, because it's very situational. Also, it is a burn card, so obviously sometimes that can be a little inconsistent.
To not get ahead of ourselves, the other 2 fusion monsters are way easier to summon.
Yeah.
Our Conic one is just 2 valence, and our secret third one, just 2 level 5 or higher valence, which is half the archetype.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot of wiggle room in there. So let's talk about the Fire Machine boys, the Koenig Weissen. So, you know, we're completely changing vibes, and we're entering the mecha side. These guys, this may be a slight one because the color schemes are a little different, but in general, these guys give me Tau from 40k vibes. Because they're kind of like...
Oh, Firebrand. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like this guy could be like a Fire Warrior or even a Commander type. Like, you know, we're a little bulky, but we've got a lot of smooth armor lines. We've got kind of
we'll get bulkier.
Oh yeah, no. I'm especially thinking of some of their larger mechs for like equivalent of like Tau battle suits, but like the color schemes aren't quite the same. But like, there's definitely something to this that is like, oh yeah, I could absolutely see this as a tabletop wargame faction. Like, this guy is just a you know, generic soldier man. This is Buster Baron. All of the machine types have alliterative names, which I appreciate. Yeah, this guy's just got, you know, a couple of laser guns strapped to his arms, and he looks pretty normal. Do kind of like the color interplay. You've got the very classic, like, white, black, a little bit of red for the logo and some highlights, and then the kind of, like, you know, like cyan or teal light they've got going on. So these guys are fire machines. They are pendulums also. They are all pen scale 1, I believe, in the main deck, as we've mentioned before. Buster Baron is the level 2.
The Koenig and Shinra are 10 scale. The fusions are 10 scales, and the secret, the third legacy support guy is a 12, which I assume also plays into the fact that there's 12 of them or something.
Yeah. So Baron is our 2. He's 800. His pendulum effects is the same as the low-level pendulums from the Shinra Bansho faction. So during your main phase, you can special summon it in its column, but then you're locked to valence, except from the extra deck. Monster effect is if you control this special summon card, you can target one other valence monster in your MMZ, move that card to an adjacent zone. If this card moves to an adjacent zone, target a card in either player's pendulum zone.
Wait, what?
Place it in an adjacent, in its adjacent spell trap zone as a continuous spell. So, this lets you fuck up your opponent's pen scales by moving them.
Yeah.
Also, it's just yet another way to cause your own guys to move around the field.
Now,
which is
it is worth noting that it's only considered a pendulum zone if the pendulum monster is placed there as part of setting the scale. So, like for example, in the Valence mirror match,
which has to be miserable.
If you were to slide a pendulum monster from the main zone to what would be a pen zone, I'm 99% positive that it would not be considered in the pen scale because game state is funny like that.
Yeah, you're not placing it in a pendulum zone as a pendulum card. You are placing it as a continuous spell in a spell trap zone.
Card. Yeah.
So yes, that lets you get some very weird interactions out. So like, Baron is cute, and certainly like as a low level guy, he's certainly functional to like just give you another way to do Senet Switch, you know, to move your guys from columns. And definitely, it won't come up much, but if you can fuck with your opponent's pen scales, that's probably pretty funny. That also does technically make it easier for Momonaka to work because you could take a pendulum card, which is a pendulum monster, move it into a back row, and then, you know, shove somebody in the back row and have it pop for damage. Obviously, I don't think that's your primary win con. Also, I just want to double check something. Okay, no. I was double-checking machine dupe. That's 500 or less. But yeah, a pretty normal guy. Well, since we started doing this in the reverse count, going from small to Lorg, let's.
Yeah, we might as well go. We might as well go up with the Conigs.
Yeah, we'll count up. So that means the next one is Voltage Viscount.
Yeah, I do personally like the I do like the Conic names. They get a fun alliteration going on.
In the lore, this is described as your defensive unit, so I can kind of see that. This guy's, you know, bigger, bulkier. He's got some fucking.
He's got like a Covenant blade shield.
He's got like a police baton.
Yeah, he's got a stun baton. I was gonna say earlier he has like UA type shoulders here. Universal athlete type.
He's got the exosuit. He's got the exosuit like strength rig on the back.
I thought you meant like ultra athlete. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, our boys UAs. Some of those guys are broad.
They are.
He's built like a
I don't think they're this broad.
It's true. Probably not as big as this guy to scale, but like he's got some big fat shoulders. The like two prongs, and I think you can even see maybe a little bit of like, I don't know if those are background Tron lines or like his prongs are crackling with electricity, but because his baton definitely is. But like yeah, this guy, you know, reads like a defense unit, an enforcer, a robot cop. So this is their 4. You know, Fire Machine, Pendulum, etc. 1400. Like the other level 4s, you can special summon them, but then you're locked to Valence. Its monster effect is, during your main phase, you control a special summon card. Place a face-up Valence Pendulum monster from your extra deck face-up in your spell trap zone as a continuous spell. If this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can place a face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck into your Pendulum zone. So, as we mentioned before, that first effect is very finicky because your pendulum monsters don't get their pendulum effects unless they're placed as a pendulum scale in the pendulum zone. This is why Snake Eyes putting your monsters as continuous spells is actually a huge pain in the ass because they don't do anything. That said, you do have a couple of ways to like fish your guys out of the back row, like with Shinra Bancho and the like. So this can work as a recycling tool. I do think it's much better if you use its second effect, its move effect, to just place them in the scales again. But yeah, like we said, the primary problem I think with this archetype is so far is just we have so many cards. We're like 6 cards deep, right? Plus an extra deck guy and 2 fusion spells. You know, so we're over 10 deep actually. we do a lot of spinning our wheels. What does this deck do though? And obviously, I think that's going to come into play with the other fusion monster, but it's still one of those things where it's like, okay, what am I doing with this?
Yeah, like we're almost through all the main deck monsters, and like there's still not really a game plan.
Yeah.
There is just a suite of similar effects that involve.
Yeah, the strategy seems to be just see what Valence you got in your opening hand and try and like summon them out and like move them around the board. And if your opponent also has board presence, you can like do some countering, but also way better generic board breakers exist. Like, I don't know why you would play Valence as a like blind go second strategy and not just play Dark Ruler, Droplet evenly, you know? Like, it's just a weird case where like it's real cute. What are we doing? Like this deck is what Farfa thinks Earth Machine is like. This deck literally just clicks buttons and does nothing. Let's see. OBS has... Okay, OBS is back. It dropped for a second there. You didn't miss anything, chat. We just acknowledged the person who said that it's Crusadia with extra steps. But yeah, we're back. Sorry about that drop skip there. But yeah, I don't think we have anything else to say about this guy. Let's talk about Mad Marquez. This is the guy that definitely made me think Tau the most. Because this straight up could be a Tau battlesuit. He's got, like, a rocket launcher on his back. He's got a giant railgun arm. He's got a fucking electric, energy minigun arm. He's got cannons on his shoulders. Like, yeah, this is just, this is just a type of mecha. He's got big, bulky, bent legs. Like, he's... Yeah.
This guy was asked, what weapons do you want on your Lancer? And he said yes.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they are supposed to be an aggro strategy.
Let's see, railgun, Gauss minigun, plasma artillery. That's all doable, actually. That is actually doable at Everest.
But yeah, he's cooking. I'm sure there are some comparisons in like BattleTech or other games to make as well. But yeah, this guy's just the Mad Marquez is full mecha mode. He's got everything.
I thought it was Marquis.
You can pronounce it both ways. It can be Marquez. It's written technically, the Japanese is Variansumado Makisu. So yeah, it's
Marquise. Yeah.
This is probably supposed to be pronounced Marquise. I've heard it Marquis and Marquez. The problem is that this is a European word, so it's spelled the same way in a lot of different languages, but, there's the, like, English way of saying it, the French way of saying it, etc. I'm not actually sure what the German pronunciation equivalent is of Marquez. But yeah, there's a... Marquez is traditionally, yes, the Marquis and Marquis in like more of that in the French. The German is Margrave. Okay.
Oh, I feel like I've heard Margrave a lot more often than Marquez.
Probably because it's a lot easier to say in English, even though Marquez is an English word. Marquis.
You know what? True.
But yeah, no. It's one of them ye olde fancy titles, so there's a couple different ways to say it. As the great Sean Spencer would say, I've heard it both ways. But yeah,
it's gonna have to do with the voltage viscount, right?
Yeah. So this guy is the 6, 1717. Like, honestly, I feel like my main issue with this deck is, like, I get that they're doing, like, a thing with the stars, right? But, like, this is a deck that Konami was like, okay, we kind of want you to spam these guys out, but also we don't want to turn this into an OTK, like, a rush deck. Which is weird, because literally that's supposed to be the Koenig faction strategy. They're supposed to be, like, an aggro, army of low-cost units.
Yeah, it's very odd. Like there's definitely a, I guess I glanced down and read Marquez's monster.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're gonna get there.
But yeah, it's very clear that like they did not want this pen deck to be just unga bunga. They want you to do the gimmicks.
And I mean, they literally wrote it so that you can't just pen summon 5, right? Like that's not allowed unless you already have set up to go into your fusion monsters and they get destroyed. Because that's the only way you get your high scales. And honestly, the way this deck works, you don't want other scales, you know? Like, you want to leave your scale zones open so you can play new guys and use their once per turn effect to summon them out and then, like, start rotating. But yeah, so...
Yeah, it feels akin to, like, the Numelaria, where they're a pendulum archetype, but they really don't pen summon. Like they don't actually use the pendulum mechanic. Like, in terms of summoning, they use it as having
as part of their game. Because I think Numelia's like big thing is that like those pendulum cards use the fact that they go to extra when destroyed as part of their playstyle, right? Like
I think it was Valmonica that I was thinking of, not Numelaria, but they're both similar in having their own unique gimmicks.
Yes. Yeah, they're like we play around with the idea that pendulum cards, you know, go to extra when destroyed and, you know, go in your back row. So there's definitely some room there, but I feel like the design for this first block of cards was way too conservative. Mad Makisu, Mad Mark here, has the normal high level effect, so you need to control you need to have Conic Vis in your field zone. Sorry, I'm so used to speaking like a sane person would talk about Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I'm like, oh, right, no, it is on the field. Your opponent can have the field spell, too. Or you control Fire Valance. You can summon this card to your MMZ. But its monster effect is, during your main phase, you can roll a 6-sided die, because this is a board game. Excavate that many cards from your deck, or as many as you can. If you do, you can add one Excavated Valance card to your hand and shuffle the rest back into your deck. If this card in your main monster zone is moved to another monster zone, you can roll a 6-sided die. If you roll 2, 3, 4, or 5, summon one monster card in your spell trap zone to your main monster zone in its same column. You can only use each effect of Mad Mark once per turn. So, 1s and 6s get fucked. But if you roll 2, 3, 4, 5...
I do love the parenthetical of, or as many as you can.
Yeah, if you're going to mill your whole deck out, I guess. But no, it's very funny. Yeah, this is hilarious. Honestly, if this card was on a better body, it would be better, but it's on a level 6 17/17 guy, so it's like, eh. Again, very funny. This deck was printed in Tactical Masters, though, first, which was, let me see when that set released. That was 2022, August of 2022. What other archetypes? I mean, that was Labyrinth, you know, so Lab was out. When did we first get Tier Laments?
Tier Laments?
Let's see. That was first introduced in which set? Power of the Elements. Power of the Elements was August 22. Yeah, so literally you already had access to Tier by the time this card was printed, which means there's a lot funnier things you could be doing with, you know, excavating cards with Gamba-ing. I don't think Curious was banned yet. So, like, again, cute. You can play other Yu-Gi-Oh cards that do this.
Well, speaking of excavating, Chaos Ruler.
Oh, yeah,
like it's middle, but it might as well be excavating with it being the Chaos card.
Yeah. I don't remember when Chaos Ruler was banned, and obviously in Master Duel he wasn't banned for a long time.
Chaos Ruler was like 22, I think, off the top of my head.
So like, it's one of those things where like, again, it's cute, but like, hell, if you want to roll dice and excavate, you could play Morphtronic. That is a functional FTK. Telephone for Telephone, Telephone for Telephone, like
Telephone for Telephone.
You know, there's that seems to be our underlying theme as we look at these guys, where like these cards look cool, but other than their unique gimmick, which isn't actually doing anything, most of these cards, like actual Yu-Gi-Oh effects, besides just kind of shuffling around the field, seems to be do stuff that other cards do already.
Chaos Ruler was October 22.
Okay, yeah. So Chaos Ruler was legal at the same time as these cards. So yeah, you again could be doing better things. So this is Dominator Duke. This is their big boy, the 8. Again,
honestly,
looking pretty good.
Like I dig the design. Kind of lame compared to the rest of the cast.
It is a little simple. I get what they're going for with the red flourishes and his big, like, wing head and stuff, this definitely doesn't look like a unit that's more powerful than the Mad Mark.
He almost has like a Shogun aesthetic, which is weird.
Yeah, it's
I
like
mean,
a cyber shogun.
I would say that is a little odd, but at the same time, the Ouroboros pipeline of like Japanese militarist aesthetic and shall we say Germanic militarist aesthetic does form a flat circle.
It does.
Up to a point.
So, there is that. But yeah, the Dominator Duke is definitely like a very simplified design. He does at least kind of look like he's got some like gold trim, so it's like, okay, so he's like a leader. That's cool. He's got a sword, I guess, which means that automatically he's cooler, but I have played a few tabletop war games in my life, and let me tell you, if you have melee-only units, they better be really fucking scary, like Darth Vader. Also, in Star Wars Legion, they had to come up with a second version of Darth Vader who did have a ranged attack.
Or they better be like World Eaters, where if they have really good charge speed, and then they get in your face, they just keep killing you, and then killing you, and
Chaos
then killing
Berserkers
you
is
more.
another one that's also very important. Like, this guy doesn't give me those vibes. But yeah, so this is their level 8.
It more looks like his sword has a fucking laser pulse attack.
It might have a gun. He does have an arm gun, but this is the Koenig side level 8. So Fire Pendulum scale 1. He is 2K. So, is their biggest main deck stat line. His monster effect says, because his Pendulum effect is just the same high level one, Coniguiscent or Fire Valence, special summon. His monster effect says you can target a set spell card in the spell trap zone. That card can't be activated this turn, even if this card leaves the field. So it's Trickstar Light Stage. If this card in your monster zone moves to another monster zone, actually technically it's the bad one. Is that live stage or is that trick stage? I don't remember. It's the
live stage. I'm pretty sure is the good one.
Yeah, so I think it is the light stage or whatever. It's the one they printed because their original field spell was too good and it got banned and or limited, so they came up with a shittier version. But if this card is moved to another monster zone, you can target one face-up monster in your opponent's main monster zone. You can take control of it, but it can't attack or activate its effects. But it is treated as a Valance. You can only use the effects of Dominator Duke once per turn. So a conditional brain control type effect, which also is all kind of like a comic hand. It makes that an archetype monster. For a fusion deck, that's cute. When the fuck was Change of Heart unbanned? It was like...
I had
early 23?
It was unlimited, early 2022.
2022, so it was, again, talking about, cards that do the same thing, but weirder. You could just play one copy of Change of Heart, which you can search with Triple Tactics Thrust. This guy has cute effects. His monster effects really want you to be playing into an established board, and I'm just like, I would not want to play this deck blind going second, especially, we haven't talked about it at all, but this deck, Valance, this deck fucking dies if your opponent flips anti-spell.
Yeah.
You literally can't play.
As any Pendulum deck is wont to do.
I mean, yes, but there are some Pendulum decks that have, normal summons, and you can, then access, parts of your extra, hypothetically. This card...
It's kind of set. This one relies on, field spells and the Pendulum stuff.
You need field spells, and also... But yes, Loth is here. I was going to say that, the problem is that all of your starters, your low-level guys, they can only activate their effects if they're special summoned. So you can't normal summon them.
In kind of a general overview, since this has been a topic of late, with why are there bad cards in Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah.
When you break down a lot of these Valence cards, they have good effects on them. They are just so unwieldy that those good effects don't progress your game state because there is no cohesive game plan Valence are trying to do, aside from them being a series of war game inspired individual pieces that are meant to form a war game battle strategy. But it just does not translate well to Yu-Gi-Oh. Because in Yu-Gi-Oh you want you want your starters to do everything.
Yeah,
whereas
you need starters and extenders that do stuff.
Yeah, they don't do nothing, but they don't accomplish the amount that they don't accomplish the amount that like a fucking Snake Eye Ash or Ponix does.
Yeah, God forbid, compared to like modern like Tier 0 starters, and we can safely say Tier 0 at this point. But yeah, I think that was an interesting video essay from MBT on this subject. He, I think, has some right points to come of it from a business perspective that, like, yeah, if Konami releases bad sets that your local game store has to buy and then can't get rid of, you know, that, like, does suck because physical inventory is actually, like, a huge constraint. I know a lot of consumers don't think about this, but, like, physical storage space is at a premium, so dead product is actually really bad. But as a theme, if the deck build packs are kind of like vaguely themed around, you know, designing unique mechanics and decks that may or may not continue, that I think is an okay space for them to be because that's how they're marketed. And usually Konami does manage to make like at least one good archetype in these. Like we said, this pack that had Valence also had Labyrinth and Runic in it. So like this, I'm pretty sure this product didn't have any problem moving. But it's definitely one of those cases where like you could have been a little less experimental. This, to me, reeks of an overly cautious game design where we design these cards with, like, their levels in mind and stuff. And let me actually pull up the Fire Fusion guy so we can talk about him a little as well. But we designed this gimmick. We designed that they have, like, the way their stats all line up and their pendulum scales and stuff. And it all, like, lines up.
Now, this guy is... This guy is, like, the big man of the army.
This is the Genesis Grand Duke. So this is the regular Duke, but after you buy his upgrade kit. He's got a lot more red, which makes him seem a lot more important and cool. But, like, the way these cards all work, this guy looks really rad, right? He's at level 10. He should be pretty cool, right? He's 25-25. This guy has the same stats as a Dark Magician.
Yeah, which is just a recurring theme with all these Valence.
Like, I think every single Valence they've printed could have 500 more attack, and this deck would not be broken. Like, this guy could be your 3K beater, and the deck still would probably be janky and weird and underplayed. You know?
like the only monster that might not need that 500 boost is Viscount, because it puts it at a 1900 4-star, which is a lot. But also, I don't think it would be the end of the world.
Especially because it's a monster that you don't want to normal summon, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, like, overall looking at this theme, I think my major reason why I wouldn't want to experiment with this deck is just, to me, the way with all these, like, special summon spam effects and, like, a lot of interaction with your opponent's board, right? I would think, okay, this is a blind second OTK deck. But you don't have any OTK tools in this deck. This is, like, a weird going second control deck, which is... a deck that doesn't work in Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah,
at least not without playing a shitload of hand traps.
Yeah, because it's like when it comes to controlling Yu-Gi-Oh, as we've discussed many a time in past situations when with our old buddy Dallas.
Yeah.
Controlling Yu-Gi-Oh is laying down 5 floodgates. And your opponent shoots you in the face because
And I think that there are more interactive decks that are technically in the control space. We talked about Labyrinth last time, but also Labyrinth has access to powerful floodgates because the Forbidden Limited list. You can, run deck viruses and stuff too. You can run situational floodgates like Dimension Barrier, so it still has those strong stun potential.
God forbid you EEV in Labyrinth. You plus like 15.
Yeah.
If you call it right.
Yes. And also, the other funny thing is that, talking about that clip, not even getting into the fact that Labyrinth, can reset that EEV as well. So, in a turn, you can just call the other one. If you fuck it up and don't die, you can just do it again. EEV is a very disgusting card, and I cannot... actually, what year was Eradicator published? I want to double check.
Eradicator is... It's not new, but I don't think it's old either.
Let's see the original print date for this. Force of the Breaker 2007. So it's definitely a little earlier, but not necessarily a early card. But that does explain why the fuck it can get away with saying declare spells or traps, get rid of them. because Yu-Gi-Oh was very different in 07. But yeah, so the Valance, like, to me, screams that it's supposed to be a, like, OTK, go second, swarm deck. You summon a bunch of little guys, you fuck up your opponent's board, you swing in. But you don't actually have enough attack power to clinch the game that way. So are you trying to, like, break your opponent's board and then keep their board broken? I don't know. I should probably go watch those hard-leg videos where he tries to make Valance work, because it's really weird where just, like, there's so many Yu-Gi-Oh memes about where's the win con, But there are decks that make that OTK shit work. I don't remember which one it was, but I believe I recently retweeted a list from WGOProDeck.com that was a top 8 at a WCQ, which was Flame Swordsman Infernoble.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, and that works. And if you can do the Flame Swordsman part of that, that's a pretty guaranteed OTK. You have control elements that you can easily get into shit like Barone and the other synchros in the Infernoble line. Like, yeah, that is a deck that works. I will say that I appreciate that we've mentioned this before, but Valance does not extra deck lock you, so you can use any generic extra deck monsters you like.
And like realistically, like there's plenty of options. Like you have, like, you may not necessarily have insane XC's access, but you still have.
You can do 2s and 4s and 6s. Yeah, you could do some 8s.
Yeah, and I mean,
you can put bodies on the board, so you can do. Yeah, you could do 10s as well. You can put bodies on the board, so you can actually do, like, link stuff. You can do, IP. You could go for access code talker as your OTK tool. But the main problem is that there are decks that don't require you to use as much brain power to make access code as Valance would. Because, like, again, remember, each one of these says they're going to be special summoned into their same column. All of their special summon effects are hopped. So, like, to get 4 guys on board, you would have to, like, put 2 Pendulum Zones, summon them, then move both of them, play 2 more Pendulum cards, summon them. It requires effort. So Grand Duke is 25-25, like I said. He's another level 10. He's another 10 scale. Now, as a fusion monster, this one is much better than the Shinobancho fusion. He is 2 Valance monsters and says that this card in your extra deck must either be fusion summoned or special summoned by tributing a level 5 or higher non-fusion Valance in the same column as your EMZ. So that does require you to, like, move them around, but you can, he is a 1-card fusion, basically, if you want him to be. If this card is special summoned, target a monster card in your opponent's spell and trap zone, return it to the hand. If you do inflict damage equal to its attack, then this card gains attack equal to half the damage inflicted. So it makes sense why this guy has a slightly lower attack, because he's supposed to have an attack gain effect. The main problem is that, like, how do you guarantee your opponent has a monster in their back row that has attack?
Yeah, like realistically, because it's so bizarre because of the fact that you basically have to you have to set up in the same turn, like getting one of your opponent's big assholes in the spell and trap zone. God forbid if they set up negates or it's just naturally unaffected. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking of. Like, well, what if your opponent goes first and makes a monster that can't be targeted? All of your effects target.
Yeah.
Or, like, honestly, Valance would work a lot better, and I hope that they do this maybe with that Earth Fairy subtype or something. They would work a lot better if it did the gimmick puppet thing, where you gave your opponent these cards that are, like, janky and weird that they can't do anything with, but that you then put in their back row to fuck up. Admittedly, that is still literally a deck that does that better, as with the new Gimmick Puppet support, we are looking at reliable Gimmick Puppet FTKs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We live in interesting times. We'll see if there's any pre-hits to the problem cards with the legacy support.
We have Gimmick Puppet FTKs, we have Ubel FTKs, like,
yeah.
Shit is...
We're zipping, and that's without even getting to the fact that that new light deck, the new light pack that's coming out, is going to include support for. We know for sure Trickstar because they've shown it. Pretty sure Galaxy, and then probably Arcana Force is the third. So you've got a burn deck and an OTK deck. I'm pretty sure they're going to see a lot of if it's good Galaxy or Photon support, you're going to see a lot of local legend, weekend warrior type decks showing up, you're gonna get clocked at your local game store a little bit, because Galaxy already has some. Nobody can seem to agree what the best version of the Galaxy deck is, but I know that an optimal Galaxy deck does exist, and if you're not prepared, you will get cooked by Afterglow.
Afterglow is I love Afterglow. I also love...
no, it's like the Galaxy is such an amorphous blob of an archetype because it's an anime archetype and it has 7 billion support cards.
And some of them are good.
It's more like 72,000, but
regardless, you know what I mean. Like
there's a lot
semantic.
And there's enough that you can there's enough to make a good 40 card deck in there. Nobody agrees what the exact 40 cards are, but they exist, and
there's at least like a constant 6 or 7 staple cards to put in there. So there's half the deck is always built. Half the deck is always probably set.
And you'll, like I said, if they pull off the Afterglow play or some of the other moves they've got, you will just get blasted.
Yeah, I was thinking about.
But yeah, there's lots of room involved. So we're living in interesting times.
I still just love the Galaxy fucking counter trap, where it just negates everything previously in the chain.
Yeah,
Did we talk about Grand Duke's pendulum effects?
No, we haven't talked about that yet. We haven't. So let's actually get back there. Yes, but yeah, the counter trap in Galaxy is very funny. So his pendulum effects are: you can activate one of these effects, special summon them in your column, or move a monster in your MMZ to your adjacent monster zone. You can use each effect once per turn. So I think the very interesting thing here is that unlike Momoka. Notice that Grand Duke doesn't say that he goes in your pendulum zone when destroyed. He would go to your face-up extra deck like normal, which means that you would either have to pendulum summon him, which you can't, by the way, in this archetype because your max scale is 10. You'd have to get outside of archetype. Or you have to use one of the other guys. Was it Normal Duke who let you place from your extra deck?
I've forgotten already.
There was one of the fire machines did that, so that makes sense that there's synergy, but yeah, Duke's pendulum effects are very funny because he can't go in your scale. But yeah, there's a lot of funny business there. So that's all of the normal guys we've got. We did get one legacy support monster. We've alluded to him. And this one's going to be interesting because, like we said, this guy represents literally the valuable book treats this guy as ooh, here's your preview of what's coming in the new expansion. So we have no frame of reference for this guy in terms of aesthetics. But
the only thing we know is that it's time themed.
Yes,
that's really it.
This is Arctos 12 Chronochasm Valance, or in the Japanese, the OCG, Shino no Variantsu Arctosu 12. So Clock Hand Abyss Valiance. So they're clock themed, obviously.
You could even say they are time lords.
Yeah, I was gonna make that reference. Given the way this guy is shaped, this guy is very much a time lord at home. He's like a weird floating guy with no legs. Though I do like that his lower body is actually like a clock pendulum. That's good. But he's just like a torso with a weird head.
Omega, no, it's Time Lord but infantry.
I mean, yeah, he is definitely... Actually, no, this guy's like a level 12, so he should be as big as Time Lord.
This guy is the 12 of the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this guy's an extra deck. He's a fusion monster.
Yeah. He is the boss monster, allegedly, of the Chronoclasms.
Yeah, so this is their biggest guy.
I think it's just not a great angle, but I know it's because the bottom space is not meant to be shown.
Yeah,
this thing is huge, as we'll see in a trap card.
Yes, he's a big boy.
This guy is big.
But yeah, I mean, the aesthetics are fine. It's just kind of like you said, it's kind of like an off-brand Time Lord. So this is a level 12 Fairy Fusion Pendulum. He is a scale 12, so that does mean that you can pen summon back Grand Duke, though keep in mind this guy was released later. This is the add-on support. I believe it was mentioned earlier, but to remind you, because it's been, an hour and a half, Chronochasm, Arctos 12 is 2 level 5 or higher Valance monsters, so you've got a lot of those. He must be first special summoned from your face-down extra deck by tributing the above cards. So you literally do not use a fusion effect to fusion summon him. You contact fuse him, basically.
Yeah.
He has a quick effect. You can switch the locations of 2 monsters in your main monster zone or 2 monsters in your opponent's main monster zone. If a card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone except during the damage step, destroy a card in the field. You can use each effective Arctos 12 once per turn. This is good. This is a good card.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot to mention he's 3K, 3K. So, like, this guy actually has stats. He has a contact fusion in a deck that doesn't hurt for summoning out guys, right? And his main ability is switch 2 monsters in your zones, which would trigger both of your Valance move effects. Or move your opponent's zones, which can actually be helpful sometimes. That might let you fuck up some co-linking and some other stuff. But also, whenever you move a card in a monster zone, you just get to pop one. Non-targeting pop one.
Yeah, just poke it.
Yeah. If the entire archetype was built like this guy, this deck would be good. We can only hope that they do actually release those Earth Fairies, and some of them are good and have some synergy.
Yeah, no, like this. This card reeks of we realized what the problem was.
Yes.
In the archetype.
This is Konami saying, we're sorry, we forgot to give you a boss monster. Hold on. This is a card that actually is an end goal because it must be summoned by tributing the above cards from your extra deck. So you have an incentive to get the high levels onto the deck and do their plays, and then it helps advance your game state. It does have pendulum effects as well. Again, it doesn't have an inherent way to go into your penned zone, so you do have to, use some of your other plays to get him out there. But he does have 2 effects. You can either special summon him from your main monster zone in the same column, so just return him, or move a monster in your main monster zone to an adjacent zone. So the same as all the other fusion guys. So
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, oh right, like the fusion all the same pendulum effects.
Yes, they all basically have the same pendulum effects. They either summon themselves back or they let you Senet Switch. So very solid. No, this is like good legacy support. The main problem is just that like we said, you have the issue of like, okay, cool, I have a guy I can make in my extra deck. What do I do with my main deck? What's my incentive here, So let's talk about those spell traps. So they've only got a few of these, which is very interesting. They focused most of their space on giving you monsters from the 2 sides. So there's definitely still room for spell trap support in this deck.
You know what?
Good.
You've been mentioning it the entire time. It might be worth at this point actually mentioning what Senet Switch does, just in case there's that one person who doesn't know what we're talking about.
Sure, I'll grab it real quick.
Just in case.
Yeah.
It's the move things like pieces card.
Yes. Yeah. So Senet Switch, very classic Yu-Gi-Oh art, by the way, shows some vaguely Yu-Gi-Oh Egyptian guys playing a game of Senet.
Yeah, this card is from like 2004 or something.
Yes, actually, by the way, Senet Switch was printed in 06 in, say it with me now, Cyber Dark Impact.
Right, it's the it is the column set.
By the way, I want to throw this out there. Senet Switch was printed in 06. It was not reprinted until Tactical Masters.
I mean, honestly, why would it be?
I mean, there was some incentive during MR4.
I guess so. That's fair.
Technically, like, I think you could have played it as like it was experimented as a weird tech card in Mech Knight builds. But it definitely would not be relevant until Valance. So Senet Switch, which is just called Position Change, by the way, in the OCG. Even though obviously this is Senet.
We got a little fancy because someone at Upper Deck was cultured enough to know what Senet was.
Yes. But also, if just being called Position Changey is like, it's all right. So this Senet Switch is a continuous spell card that says once per turn, soft ones by the way, you can target one monster in your main monster zone, choose one of its unused adjacent horizontal monster zones, move the target to that chosen zone. That, by the way, I'm fairly certain is the errata from when it was reprinted most recently. During the card game database, it was modified a little to say the horizontal terminology and stuff.
Yeah, it was very funny seeing all the run up to like the Link monsters, where people are like, Doctor Supporters is gonna go crazy, and like they're just gonna errata it,
because its original effect text was once per turn during your main phase, you can move a monster on your side of the field to a adjacent unoccupied monster card zone. This I think is why they've got the horizontal terminology, because they had to clarify Senet Switch to say that it's like no main monster zones, adjacent, and then obviously they made it very clear to move those zones. But yeah, Senet Switch is a card that does stuff, and one of the it's not this spell card, but the other spell card literally name checks it in this archetype. So Senet Switch is functionally a Valence card without actually being a Valence card.
It's a Valence card from like 15 years in the past.
So the Valence spell that I did pull up is called Valence Awakening Solo Activate, or Solo Activation. Literally, Valence equal wake. So this is a normal spell, and obviously the card art is you take the little chibi figure of Shinonome and you put her in your amiibo stand, and she gets placed on the digital board game.
You take your Chaotix gamepad.
Wow, that's going for a deep cut there. I make the
I
amiibo
know.
joke.
I've been waiting to pull that out the whole night.
Oh.
That's going best.
It's gonna. I bet there's going to be a few people in the audience who's going to get some neurons activated there.
It's going to be feeling that in the morning.
So Awakening says, place one Valence Pendulum monster, so any Valence monster,
Just
from
all of them?
From your deck in your Pendulum Zone. That's right. This archetype has had, from the beginning... Actually, no, this was printed in Dabble, so this is legacy support. That's how bad Valence was. They gave them a card that says... Take any Valence from your deck and put in your pen zone. Just straight up. Take it from your deck, put in your pen zone. If the card's in the field zone, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Valence monster in your main monster zone, move it horizontally. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this is definitely this also reads like a good legacy support. Like, this was the Darkwing Blast was like 2 months after Tactical Masters came out, so like obviously this was the +1 main set card that Konami always prints, like Lovely Lady or Big Welcome, shit like that.
Yeah, there's one of those cards that was clearly always intended to be part of the archetype.
Yeah, but they held back because sometimes I think because they're testing the waters, with these decks, they're like, is this deck going to be too good? Is it going to be too bad? Sometimes they think it's just because they run out of there. This is unashable.
No, I meant the other half of the Ashen cards.
Well, no, that's world premiere stuff. That's where Konami of America or EU only has so many world premiere slots, so they only put in half the archetype. We'll probably hear about the other half of Ashen soon, actually, by the way.
We should be hearing about that soon.
Yeah.
I at least like how the art of this card fits exactly what the effect is. You're basically popping in a unit.
Yeah, no. This card art is good because it visually tells you everything you need to know. I also find it very funny how many fucking lens flares and radial flares there are on Shinonome.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of those cards that they were just like, yeah, this deck's not good. We can print this card that says they can do whatever the fuck they want. Literally banish from graveyard to move a card. Also, you can just put a Pendulum monster in your pen zone. Fuck
Look,
it.
And sometimes there's a benefit to being in a bad deck where Konami just gives you just for example in Ozark just have a +7.
Yeah.
Who cares? Sometimes it's funny like that.
So now let's pull up the thumbnail card that I used earlier. This is Valence Wars, the Place of Beginning. Or Valence Va, the Land of Beginning. Valence Wars is mentioned in the extra book as what the board game is called. So this is the display at your local hobby shop that's got everything. So you've got, looks like the starter set back there, Hojo versus Grand Duke. You've got the individual little figures for all the guys.
I got a question for all of you.
Yeah?
Do you guys think that it's like a full solid crystal structure, or is it like they rattle in there?
Oh, it's definitely a hollow container.
because it's like the way they show it in all the art, it feels like they're like mounted to the thing. It's just the glass thing on top of it is just like a thing that's also stuck there too, so you can't take it out. It's an entire prism, I guess, with like the data in the base, I guess.
What are you talking about, Axe? Have you never played with Skylanders before?
No, you're right. It's like that in Amiibos. I own Skylanders as a kid.
I think that's just like the little protective case around the mini, because they're supposed to be highly detailed. But yeah, looks like you've got like starter kits and wombo combo kits, and you can also buy individual units. I think like back here, it looks like you've got some unpainted figures. Like you've got like the grayscale version of Shinonome, so they can come pre-painted, and also you can paint your own.
Oh yeah, they are great. Yeah.
Which is, kind of weird but fun.
It means like the starter kit's right there of like Hojo, you're painted.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is a normal spell that says 1. Add a Valence field spell from your deck to your hand, then you can play the following effect. So first of all, this is just an in-archetype terraforming, which is good now that terraforming is banned in some formats, but it's very funny. They're just like, this archetype needs its own terraforming. Destroy a pendulum card you control, a pendulum monster card you control. If you do, add Senet Switch. So, yes, once again, this deck literally searches Senet Switch. If this card's in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, place a face-up a Valence pendulum monster from your extra deck into your pendulum zone. Okay, so this is also a way you get your 2 fusion guys into the pen zone that don't place themselves there. Which is also honestly pretty good. This is a starting searcher. It adds a field spell. It can add Senet Switch if you have cards to pop. And then on later turns, you can use it to recycle back your fusion guys for recovery. I think the primary problem we're looking at here is that literally, other than the 2 field spells, which again don't really do a lot other than set up the other field spell and then give you a funny effect to do if there's 2 fields, like they don't protect your monsters or anything. This was the only spell trap card they had. Because solo activation was later, and so is the trap card that they do have. They do have a trap card. Yeah, Master Phase wasn't added until Duelist Nexus, which was the next year. Master Phase and this is the same, I believe, time that Arctos was released, so that's clearly like the, oh shit, we fucked up, your deck's not good, hold on. Also, funnily enough, Master Phase does not appear to be in Master Duel yet.
Huh. Also, I just had the thought of like, man, I really like a machine archetype that's literally just model kits.
Yeah, that would be that could be a fun gimmick, and like you could make it like equip themed or even Xyz themed. To show you like swapping parts for customizing your model kits, stuff like that.
I feel like it'd be like an Xyz Union kind of deck would be an interesting idea.
Actually,
like
honestly, yeah, you could straight up make it.
Xyz monsters are unions.
You could make it a straight. You could make it a union deck and actually make Union good. I know that Konami has tried that in the past, and like the OCG is still upset about ABC Buster Dragon.
I mean, I like the idea of like basically you can turn a material into like a union monster and then basically give it effects based off what they are, if they're treated as material or as union monsters.
But this is the trap card, Valence Wave Master Phase. So it shows Arctos 12 appearing out of nowhere. This is clearly the
promo trailer.
Yeah, this is like the ad for it. That reminds me, I should link a very funny video that was a YouTube channel I watched. Save Data Team.
Similarly to like you'd see the display case from the previous picture, and this would be on the TV screen next to them. Like,
yeah,
buy us now.
But there's a YouTube channel I watch called Save Data Team, and I recently found a video. They made it like a year ago, but it's them reacting to an hour of the worst mobile game ads. It is a fucking trip. Mobile game advertising is fucking wild.
Yeah, that's a way to put it.
Yeah.
The fact that like I didn't realize because I'll spoil the ending of it. It ends on that, I don't even know what the actual name is. It's like Mansion of Mystery or something, Mystery Mansion. The fact that weird game got a live action ad with Pedro Pascal, which I remember seeing as a YouTube ad and just skipped after 5 seconds because I had no idea what the fuck it was, is crazy to me. But I'll post that in our WebVid channel.
Oh yeah, that one is weird. super weird every time. It's like it
What?
sets up. It's like
How did you?
the
you make this
craziest
much better?
mystery, and then it just cuts to the most basic ass gameplay.
Yeah, you just match 3. Anyway, so this is clearly the promo image for the new faction coming out. It's a continuous trap, which is a little awkward place to put your, big gas legacy support. But it does some stuff that actually might do things for you. One, once per turn, if a card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can activate one of these effects. Either level 5 or higher valence monsters you control gain 1200 attack until the end of this turn, so Konami agrees with me. They need more attack. 1200 is actually, obviously it's on a continuous trap card that has an activation condition, but 1200 is quite a lot, honestly. You can send this card, your face-up card from your spell trap zone to the graveyard, target an effect monster in your opponent's MMZ, place that monster as a continuous spell if in the same column. If the zone is occupied, destroy the occupying card. So this just gives you another way to put guys in your opponent's back row, or gives you an attack modulation effect. The primary problem is that, again, I still don't know what... So I guess the best way to phrase this is, hypothetically, you win the die roll as Valance. I don't know what turn you pick to go in. Do you go first or second?
I don't fucking know.
Because
dude.
obviously, Master Phase, you would want to go first. But then you can't even do, some of these effects. I guess you, try to set it up so you can do an interrupt so you can bounce one of your opponent's important cards back? I don't know. It probably should have been a continuous spell. I know they don't have any trap cards, but, that's just really weird to put the trap card lag on this. But it's still got good effects on paper. But yeah, that's it. That is Valance. This is all the cards they have. I'm gonna guess that Konami may have further waves in the wings, but it probably seems like they're waiting to slowly dole them out and just aren't right now because they've got other shit to worry about. But it is kind of a weird place. I will say that we do possibly have some new lore coming because we've got the valuable book EX4 is coming out. This will include lore about Sinful Spoils, Visas, Centurion, Velmonica, Vanquish Soul, Nouvelle, Voiceless Voice, Gold Pride, Memento, Dermelia, Aroma. So,
I like all those archetypes.
Yeah, they've probably got some good stuff going in. But there's a lot of very funny things going on. We haven't actually talked about Gimmick Puppets yet, but they are getting legacy support, which is very wacky. They've got fucking field spell interrupts and stuff. Let me reread the Trickstar stuff a little. I don't really know what Trickstar needs, but they got some good new stuff here. Let's see. Hoodie is a light fairy, level 2. You can you can special summon if you control a Trickstar Fusion or Link. That's good. That's for extension. If this card sent is material for a Link summon, you can add Trickstar Fusion or Trickstar Defusion. That's also probably good to actually search their fusion spell. They got a level 6 fusion. And actually, let me just here. We'll scroll with me, chat. Let's pull this up on the old television. I'll scoot you guys over here. So keeping the Trickstar themes.
As Trickstars, what are Trickstar's strongest? Not soldiers, I guess.
We can say I'm Trickstar's strongest warriors.
No, I was gonna say strongest glow stick shaker.
One of Trickstar's strongest simps, sure. I know you didn't mean it like that, but that's the joke.
I meant you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
How do you feel about all these cards?
I'm kind of rereading them now. I like Hoodie as an extender, and also searching your fusion spells, because that is kind of an awkward place for the deck. Let's see. Band Dramatis is their level 6 fusion. That's just generic to Trickstars. If this card's fusion summon, you can add a deck to your hand with a different name than you control in your graveyard. That's probably good. Trickstar Link monsters that point to this card gain 1,000 attack.
Isn't the best one you want to have is with all the things they point to negated though?
No.
No.
Bella Madonna is not that good.
Okay.
And also giving her 1,000 attack in response to not making her targetable again is probably not the worst thing, because she does have a big attack. But I think they're trying to give you new strategies to play.
Yeah.
Also, TBH, Bella Madonna is just what you use to close games. Like, she's a big towers that's easily outed, but that you probably are playing your burn deck first. This does say that, if either player takes effect damage, you can take a face-up monster and make its attack 0. That's pretty cute.
Reminds me of my Akechi Sub-Zero.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got a new Trickstar Link 1. That's also probably pretty good. 1 non-link Trickstar. You can only special summon Cortica per turn. You can use the effect once per turn. When a monster is destroyed by battle involving your Trickstar monster with its cards in your graveyard, banish it, target one of those destroyed monsters, inflict attack, so that lets you close out games a little faster. That's also effect damage.
It's just a nice little climber.
Yeah. And also, we've got a revamp of Holly Angel to now Noble Angel, which is 2 Trickstars. Each effect is once per turn. You can add blue tears. If you fusion summon on your field, you can target a Trickstar in your graveyard and special summon it, which lets you go into your Link 3s really easy. If either player takes effect damage, target a face-up card and destroy it. That's probably a pretty solid Link 2 extender. Diffusion is a normal trap that lets you fusion summon by banishing from the graveyard. So it's a Necrofusion that's in archetype. And also, or you can immediately Link summon after the effect. So you can Link summon on your opponent's turn. That's probably pretty cute. You can banish it and make it untargetable. And then the Blue Maiden card, Maiden of Blue Tears, is a normal trap that says you can only use the first or second effect. Opponent special summons a monster where you control a Link monster. You can destroy it, and if you do, deal damage equal to half its original attack. That's spicy. And then if either player takes effect damage what's in your graveyard, banish it, target a normal spell, or banishment. That language is returning. Set it, but can't be activated. So yeah, no. All this stuff is good. I don't know exactly what your ratios are like, but I think it incentivizes you to play some of the fusions a little more. Band Guitar was kind of awkward. Band, Dramatis has actually got some utility because it lets you, zero out your opponent's attack and stuff. Also, like I said, if it's a searcher on fusion summon. So all of these should be eminently usable. But let's swooch back to the paint tab. Funnily enough, we do have a new... we already know we have a new Galaxy monster coming. They've revealed a new V-Jump promo will be Galaxy War Drake. We just don't know what it does yet. Not that a V-Jump promo means anything, because the... I don't know if Loth is prepared to comment on it, but I believe the Ancient Gear Dragon is kind of bad.
It's not great, but did we expect anything from V-Jump promos?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, sometimes they're good, but some
It's
of
like
them...
a coin toss. It's a coin toss.
A lot of them are just weird nostalgia bait.
And some are just cards just exist. I forget what other one was like. Was it like a Wind Drake level 1 tuner? I forget.
It's probably a
Like, what is it?
Worm.
Is the Galaxy Eyes one any good? Because they gave a new Galaxy card, for fuck's sake.
I haven't looked at it.
We don't know its effects yet. It's got the secret on it still. So I believe the copy of V-Jump isn't out yet.
Cowards.
I know, but they do that a lot. They want you to buy V-Jump.
Yeah. And still, forever, I will still not have my goddamn fucking Zeok support.
Yeah, in Master Duel, I know. So let me look. Your V-Jump promos. I mean, some of the very old ones are very funny, like tie-ins. Like Flame Wingman was printed as a promo once upon a time. Blade Knight. Goka, the Pyre of Malice, was one in the past. Oh shit, Chimeratech Forces Dragon was a V-Jump promo in the way back. But like, the last couple have been, the fucking weird shit like Spellcard Monster Reborn and Spellcard Soul Exchange, which are weird. There's that the Brianak Rechain was pretty good. Oh, actually, this is hilarious. I wonder if anybody's ever brought that up. I didn't realize. MBT was like, why does Junk Dragonlet exist? Why is this card printed? That was a V-Jump promo. That was a V-Jump promo they crammed in a normal set. So that's why it exists. It exists because Konami thought it would help move V-Jump copies, and it didn't. Or if it did, we don't know. And it got tucked into a core set because I guess we're under an obligation to import everything. But yeah, there's a lot of weird cards. Like almost all of them are nostalgia references, like Mystic Potato, Ulti Meat Offering, Three-Eyed Ghost, Burning Dragon, Magician of Faithfulness. By the way, Burning Dragon is a good card, actually. That's very weird that they printed that as a V-Jump promo, and then that got carried over as like a super rare. Oh, Diabolica was a V-Jump promo originally. Weird. Would never have thought that. So yeah, there's still some cards in the V-Jump promo are actually still good, but those usually, if you ever wonder, apparently, if you ever wonder where a weird one-off card comes out in a core set, and you're just like, what is Junk Dragonlet? What is Over Future Fusion? You know, what's this Baromet the Sacred Shrub Sheep card? It was probably a V-Jump promo. Stratos was I don't know if Stratos was a V-Jump promo originally, but it was a, let me double check. It was obviously a Shonen Jump promo. No, it was in V-Jump as well, yeah, okay. God, that's so weird. Sorry, I'm looking at the cards that came out around there. Like, so you've got, you know, Green Baboon, Dandelion, good cards. Dread Scythe Harvester, though. Stratos, Greed Quasar. Anybody ever played Greed Quasar in their life? The answer is no. You've never played Greed Quasar. You probably don't even know what Greed Quasar looks like. My companions are stunned at the concept of Greed Quasar.
I mean, what kind of greed and what kind of Quasar?
Here, I'll just pull up the card so you can see. You
Wait,
can see this guy.
Quasar, it's another fucking Synchro Dragon, isn't it?
No. It's a fiend. It's a level 7 fiend. This card's original attack and defense are equal to its level times 300. This card's level is increased by the level of monsters it destroys by battle. It's a fiend. It's Greed Quasar.
Weird gimmick deck card that, yeah.
It was printed as a in the TCG. It was printed as a secret rare. But yeah, no. So V-Jump promos do sometimes have good cards.
Can this thing go beyond level 12?
Yeah, monsters can go beyond level 12.
Okay.
This gives fucking, what is it? Grand Maju kind of vibes.
I think it's kind of the same.
Just keep making it bigger.
Yeah, the same Veebs. But yeah, so that's weird. But somebody should, I may even have checked the replies to that one MBT tweet about Junk Drakenlek and be like, actually, fun fact, it was a V-Jump promo originally. Presumably the TCG is under obligation to actually bring those over here at some point, but some of them aren't good. Okay, Despair has left us, which is all right. You know, shout out to them for being with us for here and going about their business. But we are getting close to wrapping up anyway, because we've talked about Valance. This means next week we get to talk about Runics, like actually talk about them. We've kind of discussed the monster designs before and kind of their intersection with Generator, but not actually what the cards do. And that will be a very interesting switch to go from Valance, a deck that has its own unique playstyle, where we just went, I don't know what this deck does. You know, like it does stuff, but what does it actually accomplish? We don't know. To Runic, which is a deck that, like, you think plays one way, but actually plays another way. And I just want to round out by saying that the FP poll we got out here, we're roughly in the same spot. We got 11 votes total. We still got a three-way tie at 3 votes each for Goatee, Traptrix, and Valkyrie, and 2 for Ancient Warriors. That might be slightly more than we left, but you still got a week to break that tie. As usual, ties are chaos mode, and I do not know what I will do, so if you want to guarantee one of those wins, you should break the tie, because, like I said, I literally don't know what I'm going to do.
I already voted.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if you're out there and haven't voted, or perhaps you have voted for a tie, you can change it so it's not a tie to see if the one you prefer to win wins. Because otherwise, like I said, you will make me have to think of something, and I don't know what that'll be.
Can I just give you Can I just give you $5?
To bribe for goatee? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to give me $5. That would work though.
It's like, I'll listen. If it's a day before you decide, tell me, and I'll send you 5 if no one does anything about it.
Yeah, okay, I will keep that in mind. I'll take bribes. It seems a little excessive, but also like I don't know what I'm gonna do. That saves me the trouble.
Like,
that also leaves it open for later. That if there's later polls that you're not as invested in, that leaves me open to do a fucking tip war, a super chat war with the people at home.
I mean, if people actually bother to say things in chat, go ahead. Yes, I'm calling you all out.
Chat, I'm pretty sure we're not getting very responsive today because I'm fairly certain nobody watching has played Valance and possibly never read a Valance. So, Labyrinth, we got a lot of responsiveness, and other decks we got a lot of back and forth. But yeah, definitely some funnier situations. But yeah, so keep that in mind with those, and we're gonna skedoodle on out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, like I said, Lucky managed to beat Metal Gear Solid 3 in a single sitting, though it is 7 hours.
Him for defeating the
last
Fury.
time, first try.
First try that week.
Yes, but also first try. I'm trying to remember if there were any other first try jokes. No, it did actually only take him the first try and the other bosses as well in that setup. Funny how that works. But check that out if you haven't already. If you were interested, I know it was an unusual day on a Sunday, but we did do like a 3-hour video talking about FF7 Rebirth and the ending and stuff. A spoiler cast you can check out. And tune in tomorrow for Final Fantasy XIV. I will finally be starting Endwalker. We got there. We're Endwalking. Also, I'm probably going to do the seasonal event because, once again, it's Tuesday and I haven't done it yet. And I do want that pink Gaboo.
All right.
But, we'll check in later. So, thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you back here for more. Night, everybody.